My husband is filing for divorce 4 weeks before our baby is due. I don't know how to move forward. Hello, everyone. I'm writing this with a heavy heart and overwhelming anxiety, as my situation feels hopeless. I am currently 36 weeks pregnant, and a few days ago, my husband announced that he wants a divorce. This came as a complete shock to me, although, in hindsight, the warning signs were there long before this. I just hoped we could find a way to fix our relationship, especially with our baby due in just a few weeks. We've been married for several years, and honestly, everything started out wonderfully. My husband was charismatic, ambitious, and seemed like the perfect partner to build a family with. I fell for him instantly. We often talked about our future together. Children, travel, everything that seemed natural for two people in love. The first few years of marriage were challenging because of his issues with alcohol. He drank often, and it impacted our family life. He could be mean and hurtful, though it never escalated to physical aggression. The worst moment came when he had to be hospitalized for alcohol poisoning. After that, he promised things would change. Since January 2024, we both quit drinking, and I thought this could be a fresh start for us. When I found out I was pregnant in June, it was unexpected. I didn't feel ready for it due to our constant arguments and unresolved issues. But my husband was thrilled. He said this was exactly what we needed to bring us closer together. His reaction gave me hope that things would turn out okay. However, everything changed during the pregnancy. In the first trimester, I felt physically drained, constant nausea, fatigue, mood swings. Instead of offering support, he criticized me. He said I was lazy, exaggerating, and that pregnancy wasn't an illness, so I should keep up with everything as usual. One time, when I asked for help around the house, he literally took my car keys to make me rethink my attitude toward responsibility. During one of our arguments, he punched a hole in the bedroom wall. While it wasn't a direct threat to me, it made me feel unsafe in my own home. We tried family therapy, and I started individual therapy to better understand myself and work on fixing our relationship. But it seemed the more I tried to express my feelings, the more he pulled away. He began accusing me of putting him down, never letting go of the past, and saying our problems were all because I couldn't forgive. Now, there's the divorce. He said he can't live like this anymore, and that I'm ruining his mental health. I've tried to talk to him, but he just locks himself in his office and says I'm violating his boundaries. He also claimed that if I'm unreasonable during the divorce process, he'll seek full custody of our child. What terrifies me the most is how dependent I am on him. When we got married, he said my job didn't make enough, so I agreed to leave it to focus on the home. We also decided to keep only one car, so I gave mine to my brother. Now, I have only $200 in my bank account, and the only thing I have left is a roof over my head since the house we live in belongs to my parents. My husband has already said he'll take most of the furniture and even the baby items because they were bought with his money. I don't know how 50-50 custody works with a newborn, especially since I plan to breastfeed. He has 6 weeks of paid leave, while I'll need to find a job quickly to support myself and the baby. I'm also scared of his manipulation. For example, during my first trimester, when I was struggling with depression, he said that if I didn't take antidepressants, he'd tell my doctor I was mentally unstable. Now I'm afraid he'll use that against me in court. I don't want him in the delivery room and am considering giving the baby my last name since I never took his after we got married. But I don't know if that's the right decision. I can't afford a lawyer, and I haven't told my family yet because I'm afraid of their reaction. I don't have friends I can confide in, and I feel utterly alone. If anyone has been through something similar, please share your experience. How did you handle financial struggles, divorce, and manipulation, especially while pregnant? Update. Hello again. Thank you to everyone who responded to my previous post. Reading your comments was tough, but they helped me realize some important things. I'm not alone, and I have the right to protect myself and my child. You gave me the support I desperately needed when it felt like my world was falling apart. I want to share what happened next and the steps I've taken to start fixing the situation. First, I gathered the courage to tell my family. This was probably the hardest step, as I had been hiding all the issues in our marriage for a long time. To them, we were always the perfect couple. My decision to keep everything to myself to avoid upsetting them was a huge mistake, and I realized this when I saw their reaction. My dad was furious when he heard about my husband punching the wall and threatening to take custody of the baby. My mom cried but immediately assured me that I could rely on them. They offered to help with all my expenses until I get back on my feet and even help hire a lawyer. It turned out their neighbor is an attorney, and he agreed to give me a free consultation to assess my situation. Meeting with the lawyer brought me immense relief. It turns out that many things my husband said are not true. For example, he can't just take all the property and baby items, even if he bought them. Everything acquired during the marriage is considered joint property, including gifts for the baby. Regarding custody, the lawyer explained that courts rarely grant 50-50 custody of a newborn, especially if the mother is breastfeeding and the primary caregiver. My husband can make any claims he wants, but he'd have to prove that I'm unfit as a mother, which is not easy. I also told the lawyer about his manipulations regarding my mental health, particularly during the first trimester. He reassured me that this wouldn't hold up in court unless there was evidence that I was genuinely a danger to myself or the baby. At my request, he prepared a list of documents I need to gather, including a letter from my doctor stating that I'm healthy. I've also filed to give the baby my last name. The lawyer supported this decision, as it could help protect me and the baby in the future. Separately, I spoke with my OB/GYN. I explained that I don't want my husband in the delivery room. The doctor said this is entirely my decision. I felt relieved because I had been afraid my husband would insist on being present and try to destabilize me during such a vulnerable moment. The doctor also offered his support if I need medical records or recommendations for court. He knew about my emotional struggles during the first trimester, but said my situation was completely normal for a pregnant woman under stress. As for my husband, his behavior has only worsened. He still locks himself in his office and refuses to discuss anything related to our baby. When I tried to ask how he envisions his involvement after the divorce, he said, "We'll figure it out later. You're being irrational anyway." He also threatened that if I start making things difficult, he'd go to court and demand sole custody. But now that I have legal support, I'm no longer afraid of his threats. My lawyer said his detached behavior and lack of interest in the baby's arrival could actually work in my favor if this goes to court. It hasn't been easy. This is one of the hardest periods of my life. But I feel like I've taken the first steps toward regaining control of the situation. My family is supporting me, I have a plan, and I feel a bit stronger. What matters most to me right now is my baby. I want them to come into a stable environment, even if it means building that environment on my own. Thank you again to everyone who responded to my previous post. Your words gave me strength when I was ready to give up. If there are any updates, I'll share them. And if anyone has been through something similar, please let me know how you coped. Your support is invaluable.
Its second story.
My partner's mother didn't gift me anything for my birthday, but she did for her other daughter-in-law. I always try to appreciate the little things in life. For me, birthdays aren't about big gifts or extravagant parties. They're about feeling noticed and cared for. A simple, happy birthday, or a small gesture of kindness would have been enough. But this year, things didn't go the way I imagined. My partner, 28M, and I have been together for over 3 years. Our relationship has always been strong, and I had started to see his family as part of my own life. I've tried to be open and polite with him, even if we hadn't grown particularly close. His mother, Linda, was always courteous yet reserved, but I figured that was just her personality. On my birthday, my partner really made an effort. He gave me flowers in the morning, then took me out for breakfast at a cozy cafe where we enjoyed pancakes and coffee. He even surprised me with a small chocolate cake that had "Happy Birthday" written on it, which melted my heart. He knows how to make me happy, and I genuinely appreciated it. But later that evening, as we returned home, one question started to nag at me. Where was the acknowledgement from his family? His mom, who is usually attentive about everyone's birthdays, hadn't even sent me a text. At first, I tried not to dwell on it. Maybe she simply forgot? But then I remembered how recently she'd gone out of her way to throw a little celebration for her other daughter-in-law, Jessica. I remember how she gave Jessica a luxurious self-care kit, a big bouquet of flowers, and even baked a homemade pie. At the time, I thought, how thoughtful. So why was this time different? I couldn't shake the feeling. Was it just a coincidence? Or was there something more behind it? Family dynamics have always been a complicated topic for me. In my own family, relationships were warm but a bit chaotic. We didn't focus on giving expensive gifts, but made sure every occasion felt special. My partner's family, on the other hand, seemed perfect at first glance. They were close-knit, spent time together often, and always seemed so welcoming. But as time went on, I began to notice the nuances. His mother, Linda, has a particularly strong bond with his brother and his brother's wife, Jessica. They see each other all the time, go out for coffee, shop together, and talk about future trips. They genuinely seem like best friends. I was happy for them, but I also felt like I didn't quite fit into this dynamic. Linda was never hostile toward me, but her attitude always felt a little distant. For instance, whenever I offered to help in the kitchen, she would politely decline with, "No need. I can handle it myself." If I tried to start a conversation, her responses were short and neutral. I started wondering if the issue was with me. Maybe I wasn't as outgoing as Jessica. Maybe I hadn't done enough to build a stronger bond. But should I have to work so hard to feel accepted? A few days after my birthday, I couldn't hold it in any longer. The feeling was eating away at me, and I decided to talk to my partner about it. We were sitting at home after dinner, and I started the conversation carefully. "Hey, I need to talk about something. It's a bit silly, but it's been bothering me." "Sure, what's up?" he asked, looking a bit surprised. I explained how hurt I was that his mom didn't acknowledge my birthday. I told him that I understood it might have been an oversight, but in light of how much effort she puts into celebrating Jessica, it felt strange. "Honestly, I feel like she doesn't accept me," I admitted. He sighed and said, "It's just a gift. Maybe she forgot or was busy. But she never forgets about anyone else," I pressed. "Why does it feel like I'm the exception?" He acknowledged that it was odd and promised to talk to her. A few days later, my partner told me he had spoken to his mom. Her reaction wasn't what I had hoped for. "She said she just didn't have time to get anything," he explained. "She apologized if it upset you, but she said it wasn't intentional." I froze. That apology felt hollow. If it wasn't intentional, why does she always find time for Jessica? I wanted to talk to Linda myself, but I worried it would only make things worse. Instead of feeling reassured, I felt even more isolated. Now, I'm at a crossroads. I love my partner, but this situation weighs heavily on me. It feels like his mom is deliberately keeping me at arm's length. He insists I'm overthinking it. But am I? Isn't it normal to feel hurt when you're excluded like this? I don't know what to do. Should I try talking to Linda again? Or should I accept that I'll never be Jessica in her eyes? Can I really build a future with someone when I feel like I'm not fully accepted by their family? I don't want to give my partner an ultimatum, but at the same time, I can't ignore how much this hurts. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive, but isn't it natural to want to feel like part of the family? Date. A conversation that changed everything. Well, it's been a few weeks since I wrote this post. First of all, I want to thank everyone who commented and shared their perspectives. You helped me realize I wasn't crazy for feeling this way. Unfortunately, things have only gotten worse. After my partner spoke with Linda, I hoped things would improve, but instead, she became even colder and more distant. At family gatherings, she avoided me, only speaking when absolutely necessary. She even stopped casually messaging me in the family group chat. I decided I couldn't let this go on. At a recent family event, I mustered the courage to confront her directly. "Linda, can we talk?" I asked. She looked surprised but agreed. We stepped into the kitchen, and I started as calmly as I could. "I feel like there's some tension between us. I just want to understand if I've done something to upset you." Her response floored me. "Look, you just don't come across as very family-oriented. Jessica, she's more open, warm, you know? But you, well, you seem a bit distant." I froze. Distant? I've tried so hard to be polite and friendly. Her words felt like a slap in the face. I replied, "I'm sorry if I gave you that impression. I've really been trying, and I'd appreciate it if you gave me a chance." She shrugged. "I'm not saying you're a bad person. We're just very different." That was the end of the conversation. When we got home, I told my partner everything. I expected him to take my side, to at least acknowledge how much it hurt me. But his reaction stunned me. "That's just her opinion," he said. "You know how she is, old-fashioned. Why are you taking it so personally?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She literally said I'm not family enough. How is that okay? He just shrugged. "If you want things to change, maybe you should try talking to her more." At that moment, I realized we were on completely different pages. I don't want to spend my life proving I'm good enough for his family. We had a few difficult conversations, but ultimately, we decided to break up. He needs his mom's approval, and I can't build my life around trying to earn it. Now, I'm living on my own again, and it wasn't an easy decision. Breakups are always painful, especially when you truly love someone. But I know it was the right choice. My self-worth is more important than constantly feeling like I'm not good enough. And I believe there's someone out there who will stand by me, no matter what their family thinks.